Rhoda.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good.
I can't see you yet.
You can't see me?
No.
Can you
There
see
we
me
go.
now?
Yeah, got
I have to tell myself that I want to be on video.
it.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's a feature. I just have to remember. Each piece of software is a little different. Some just default, and I could set this up default, but I don't remember. I'm old, so we'll be all right. Have you been social distancing and doing whatever that means to you?
Hope John Vandersell is going to be on because I have something I want to tell him.
There's always the phone.
Hmm?
I said, there's always the phone.
I know. What's that?
I just thought I'd throw that out there. Long before we had these things, there was always the phone. Oh, okay.
Because everybody
Hey
has.
guys, I
Hey.
see a lot of heads.
Hi.
Hello. Here.
Yeah, we can hear you. I was just telling Rhoda that long before these things that we did have phones. It's not the end of the world, people. If you can't get on video, just pick up the phone and just call somebody. It's a crazy thought.
That's my preferred method.
Yeah, just call them up. Say, hey, how you doing? We're not having technical issues. I checked that out with Alex earlier, so we're on, and you were on last week, Claire, right?
Yes.
Yeah, your video is much better this week. I don't know what that's about. Is it the same setup?
Yeah, I just switched my computer just a little bit, twisted a little bit because I got a pile of my aunt's mail that I'm dealing with over my left shoulder.
It's much better looking. So, hey, we try this, right? We'll see.
Yeah, I had a webinar yesterday and they did GoToMeeting. They went back to one of those. So,
well,
kind of all over the board.
There's lots of options on these things. I had some technical problems with the same piece of software that we used last week on somebody else. And in the same week, I had a meeting with like 8 people and no problem. So you just never know why these things are weird like this. So
right.
you don't, who knows? I know there were 2 more people that said they were going to come. So we'll give them a couple minutes. And then if not, while we're waiting around, has anybody got news that we can use?
Actually, I do. One of the gentlemen that I know that has COVID, and he was in the hospital. He was intubated, and he actually got to come home this last Saturday.
Outstanding.
So, and he was he has diabetes, and so he was in a high risk category. So it's just praise the doctors, and they were able to get his lungs clear, and he's back home.
Good. That's a win. Yeah, I've got a friend of mine who's been intubated and have not heard. His family has not given us an update, but he was definitely ill. It's real if you're affected by it. I certainly understand those people who are advocating that they need to return to work, et cetera, but I think Alex is going to tell us the economics of being unemployed might not be that bad.
Well, the economics of it aren't that bad because they're pitching in an extra $600 a week for you if you're on unemployment. But now the question is, those people are asking if they're asked to go back to work, and for whatever reason they don't go back to work, will they lose their unemployment? Because under state law, yes, you will. If you're offered a job, you have to pretty much take it, or you lose your unemployment. So,
right.
A lot of states are asking that question now. I mean, obviously, they're going to have to do that. They're going to have people on unemployment, as long as they can get it. If they're getting that extra $600,
right? Because it's actually. I looked at this for a client for one of their staff. it's one of their office people, and last week, 2 weeks ago, she actually is making more money being on unemployment than she would be on her normal weekly pay.
And I think that's the norm. Most people are, unfortunately. Well, fortunately, I guess for now, but I mean, it's not something that's sustainable at all. Hey,
Right.
Keith,
Yes.
one other thing, Tony had reached out to Lee Barrel. He was a member, it's been years ago. I moved to Tennessee, so, but I told him that we would put him on while we're doing these video conferences, and we put him on the email list. So I'll send you an
Hey, it's
email.
no problem. No problem.
He
I
couldn't-
think I sent him an email.
Oh, you did? Okay. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna. Yeah, I talked to him. Well, I emailed with him last night, and he was just. He's got a conflict today, so he's
Yeah,
not
no,
gonna-
I sent him. You sent me one last week, and I sent him one saying, "Hey, it's okay. Don't have any problem." So what I'll do is I'll make sure that he is on the distribution, and then
Perfect.
if he wants to tune in, it's no big deal to me.
Okay.
Hey, Marianne, how are you doing?
I'm good, Keith. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Did
Morning,
I have the
Marianne.
time wrong? I may have had the time wrong.
No,
No.
you're good.
8:30.
8:30.
8:30? Okay, cool. Cool.
Looks like Tony's coming in.
Well, his degrees are coming in. we can see
Like you're
his
stalking
degrees.
them or something.
He's connected. He needs to lower his screen. Tony, you need to lower your screen. You're kind of half cut off.
No, I didn't need to lower my screen. The camera's not set for the proper height. This is this is the angle that I need to be able to see my screen properly. And if I go like this, I can't see my screen properly.
Ah.
Yeah, Maverick, it looks like you're getting ready to take off there. Those headphones on.
Huh?
So it looks like you're getting ready to take off with those headphones on. Look like
Yeah. My kids laugh because this is a gamer headset, and I haven't played a video game in probably 15, 20 years.
Yeah,
It's rough.
probably
at the
been at
top.
least that for me, but
And by the way, this is my second laptop. I've got the other one over here, so I take notes on one and I actually look on the other one.
right.
Working off of both. Plus, I've got a 20-inch screen sitting up here too. You can't tell them at
Hey,
the
well,
office.
let's get rolling on this thing. And like I said earlier, for somebody's got Claire had something. If somebody's got something to contribute, let's do that. Otherwise, let's make sure that Alex gets his full time in, because I think he's got a lot to tell us. So if somebody's got something that's important, let's roll with it. If not, Alex, it's the Alex Gray Show.
All right. Let me just make sure I share the right screen here. Okay, you guys seeing anything?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
seeing something called COVID-19.
All right, that'll work. And you can see the whole thing, right? So, as everybody knows, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and one of the hardest hit areas is the small business community. So, I want to start off, just by talking a little bit about how it's kind of impacted the economy overall, but then really get into the small business. I actually found a survey that was done that was actually very good, and surveyed quite a few small businesses. So, just a little quote from me: during these COVID times, it's good to be bold. I don't have to worry about getting my hair cut.
Okay.
The impact on GDP. First quarter numbers were announced last night, down 4.8%. Pretty sizable drop for 1 month. But next month quarter, and then next quarter they're expected to be down 17%, which is pretty incredible considering during the Depression 13% was the largest quarterly drop. So it's going to be a major impact. The second quarter is pretty much shot. For most businesses, technology and some businesses are doing fine. Obviously, supermarkets, but most small businesses aren't going to fare well at all. And that 17-point drop is kind of an average. There's Goldman Sachs, I think, is predicting up to maybe a 34% drop. So it could be catastrophic, really. But the government's stepping in a big way, in an unprecedented way. So they're going to soften that impact. Unemployment rate in March jumped. You can see the big jump there. And nearly 16 million unemployed as of April 11th. That number's actually moved up. It's probably closer to 26 million now. But today, they're expecting to be closer to like 30 million. So big numbers, big numbers. The markets obviously didn't respond well to this either. The S&P took a big tumble from almost 3,400 down to almost 2,200. Major drop, and you can see it in the graph there. Crude, this is something nobody's ever seen happen before. It actually went negative for the first time ever on the close of a contract. The May contract went negative for when it closed in April, so down $37. That means, and quick explanation, the reason it was down is because the WTI contract, which trades here in the United States, requires delivery, where the Brent contract, which is more of the seaborne world trade, doesn't require delivery. It requires just a financial settlement. Well, most people that trade these futures can't take delivery. They have nowhere to put it. So, people are trying to dump it and actually paying people to take it off their hands, essentially is what a negative number there means.
Hey, Alex.
Yeah.
I have a text from a colleague of mine on April 18th in Ohio. He shot me a picture of regular gas at 99 cents a gallon.
Yep. And it could.
That was phenomenal when I saw it. I was like, holy moly.
Yeah, and chances are, oil's been up. It was up big yesterday. It looks to open up. It's trading higher today. But oil's going to stay depressed for probably most of the year. It might get back into the 20s. I don't see it moving much higher for the rest of the year, unless things really change quickly and we start using a lot of fuel again. But with airlines are going to be down for a long time. So I see the fuel usage continuing to be low. So cheap oil is going to be the name of the game. Unfortunately, people think they're going to be working from home. They won't be spending money on gasoline. So. As far as small businesses go, there was an article in one of the local papers here. Just want to start with a little local impact. And Ken Ursa, which I've met before, fine restaurant in Zionsville. To put it in perspective, 2019 was his best year ever. He's been running this business for 20 years, best year ever. Since the end of March, the sales are down 85%. So major impact. They've obviously improvised. They're selling grocery curbside, family meals curbside. He tends to open back up as soon as possible and optimize his restaurant space and potentially even install a plexiglass shields at the bar to protect his bartenders and the customer. But obviously, he doesn't expect to hit his projections for even the summer months after he reopens. Same with Sherry Jenkins. She actually doesn't plan to reopen her restaurants until June 2nd, just for safety reasons. But she has secured the PPP loan and is paying her full-time servers. They're doing margarita kits, obviously carry out, curbside, those type of things too, just to keep some revenue coming in. The survey I found was the Main Street America survey. As you can see, they represent 1,600 commercial districts, about 300,000 businesses. The survey was late March to early April. Almost 6,000 businesses responded. So, and the reason I went with this one, I'd found another one a private equity firm had done, but this one was a little bit more, I think, in tune with us, where it was mainly businesses, as you can see, 91% with fewer than 21 employees, or 20 employees. The main findings, millions of businesses are unfortunately at risk of closing permanently. Out of the 30 million, 7.5 million may close permanently over the coming 5 months if this pandemic continues on, and 3.5 million over the next 2 months. So that was basically beginning in April. So if this thing went to June, we risk losing 3.5 million businesses. So it's, then if you look at the unemployment that could come from this, 35.7 million Americans are at risk of unemployment. Their main needs, the survey found, is financial assistance, obviously, and penalty-free extensions on expenses. The stimulus hasn't come without its pain. people trying to learn how to do this. So they're recommending the SBA expand some of the technical assistance funding to organizations like the MSA and chambers of commerce to educate businesses. States and cities need to continue to invest in education, technical support. I guess when this all started, based on the survey, some of them actually pulled back on that, and they're saying they need to continue it. This next one was a big problem in the beginning. I'm sure you heard about Shake Shack and Harvard and all these taking the funding that they didn't probably really need, and they obviously want 20 or less employee businesses to be prioritized. And then one thing the government didn't really do is address things like rent and mortgage expenses in the stimulus bill. So they'd like to see a bill that would help them do that, because I mean it becomes a waterfall effect. Although I'm not sure if the government's looking at it from the opposite direction, because the Fed's also stepping in buying loans. So they may be looking at the Fed will take care of that half by buying these loans that aren't getting paid. But I can see where that might frighten some businesses, and it could be a waterfall effect. If they don't pay, the mortgage doesn't get paid, and the lender doesn't pay. So it just all rolls up.
Alex?
Yes.
I was told that they'd forgive the loans if we paid our mortgages and rent with them.
Really? My understanding is that the loan was forgiven if you paid your employees and kept them on staff.
No,
Yes.
mortgage and rent is included too.
Okay,
That's
so
only, right, only 25% of that loan can be used for rent.
could they add that then? Because that was not in the original price. Add that. Okay, well, that's good news. That's good news. This kind of just shows, a graph of, businesses at risk of closure. If it goes 3 to 5 months, 34%, but you can see 80% have responded saying they pretty much are in a temporary shutdown now. So, I mean, that's a big swath of small businesses that are temporarily shut down. Very disruptive. Revenues, obviously, if you're shut down, your revenues are plummeting. Almost 60%, down by more than 75%. I mean, that's a huge drop. Nobody can sustain that, obviously, and that's the biggest fear. And I think a lot of people, some of us are luckier than others, I think, to either be in businesses that aren't as impacted, or, a lot of people, are still getting their salary. But there's some frightened people out there, I'm sure. They're at risk of losing their livelihood and something they spent, 20 years building. Pretty scary experience, I think, for a lot of people. Obviously, jobs are very much at risk. This just a quick graph on showing almost 50% talking about 1 to 5 employees, and consider most of these businesses that responded are 20 or less. 1 to 5 employees is a big part of their workforce, so could be a substantial loss. And not to mention that small businesses employ a big number of the people in the United States. It's not the IBMs and the Microsofts of the world that really keep the motor running. As far as the assistance they're asking for, I touched on earlier, it's mainly information on the financial assistance. And I think, a lot of that's coming along. Early on, nobody really knew what to do. But I think people are getting educated there. And then obviously penalty-free extensions, which I think, a lot of landlords are granting that. They're allowing people to pretty much not pay, and then they'll roll it into the lease long-term, and let's pay it over, the next 12 months or something.
Right. Marion County just extended the stay-at-home till the 15th.
Oh boy, good news. Not really, but we'll see what I don't think Holcomb's really totally come out with what he's going to do yet, but I guess we'll see there tomorrow, I guess. Types of businesses, this is kind of interesting. It's mainly retail that responded to this, either food service type retail or non-food retail. It was about 42% of the respondents. And obviously, some of grocery was only a little less than 1%. So if that would have been a big responder, I think it wouldn't have been as bad. But most grocery stores aren't small businesses anymore. So The effect on the business revenue was loss of revenue is obviously the biggest impact on the business overall. But closures, obviously, which rolls into loss of revenue, employee layoffs, change of business model. I think that's actually something that might be interesting to see how that goes long term. Does that business model change indefinitely, or does everything go back to normal? I think it's probably a mix, probably more normal than change, but I think people are going to have to look at their business and say, I wasn't really prepared for this event. Yeah, what's keeping them up at night? Yeah, losing clients, obviously, and decreased customer traffic are the two biggest things. But it was nice to see that employees' financial welfare was also a major concern for most of these business owners. And then, again, paying the rent and mortgage so they don't get kicked out.
One of the other things that a lot of the employees are worried about is many of them, they feel that their job will use this as an opportunity to get rid of dead weight.
That's a firm possibility, and they should be worried about that, and they probably should have been worried about that before.
Yeah, but it's
sometimes these events, do allow businesses to look at their staff a little closer and make decisions, and they're going to have to make decisions anyway because their sales are going to be down, so they're not going to be able to bring everybody back. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
And this we talked about, the assistance that they're primarily looking for. But there was a number that actually talked about have assistance on changing the business model. So that falls into the education piece of it. Now, this is the one I found interesting. Obviously, this one kind of goes with what I was doing more of previously. But I was a little surprised at how few people had an online sales component. Now, some businesses don't lend themselves to that, but I think, given there was a lot of retail in the survey, I think that's something that people are going to look at and say, I wasn't ready for having to go online because I had no online sales presence. They weren't selling, because a website, unless it does something really, it should be pretty basic and simply informational, because otherwise there's really no reason to have it. But if you're in retail and you can't sell online, you've got a major issue. And I think this pandemic really showed that people need to be able to sell their items online, if at all possible, or services, even your services online. I think would be one. But you can see the online sales component of overall revenue. Almost 60% wasn't applicable because they didn't have anything. But 33%, almost 34% get that much revenue from their business, which is pretty strong, really. I mean, a third of your business comes from online sales if you do have a presence. So,
hey, Alex, but that 33%, what kind of infrastructure do you have the capability to have that?
Well, the way I see it, if you just have a little shop that sells whatever it is, it could be food items, it could be clothing or whatever, you really just need a WordPress site and the ability to sell your items online and keep your inventory online, and that's really it. I mean, it's pretty straightforward for so many people to be caught without anything like that. It's really something that these business owners should really give some consideration to. Not only that, they can find a new avenue for sales, especially going forward.
Yeah, but correct me if I'm wrong, Clara, but don't most of these small businesses, including mine, have enough trouble with just regular inventory versus worrying about online inventory?
Yes.
Well, it's but it's really no different if you integrate it. I mean, I think people are just going to have to step up to the next level of technology. I think that's part of the problem. If they're having trouble with inventory, it's because their technology is a problem, not because their inventory is a problem.
Okay.
You mean like storing inventory? Is that what you're talking about, Keith?
No,
you got to account for what you sell, right? If it's moving through a pipeline, how many did I move today? How many are there today? How many are left on the shelf? I sold it yesterday. I opened my sales this morning. Nobody recorded it. I sold it again. I mean, that's even in real life.
But your point of sale should be able to connect to the major internet shopping carts like Shopify or some of the major WordPress ones. If it doesn't, then you need a new point of sale.
Hmm.
And then you need to train your employees to make sure that they're scanning everything properly so it comes out of inventory properly.
But Alex, if you're a small business selling something, the person is searching online, is searching by category of what they want. They're not even going to find you because they're going to find it on Amazon sooner.
Well, that could be possible, depending on how unique your items are. Yeah, if your items aren't very unique, that's for sure. But if you have, like a clothing boutique that sells very unique clothes and you do proper marketing, then that gives you your advantage. Otherwise, then maybe you have to, you can't beat them, join them type of thing, because you can sell your items through Amazon as well and still have your own web presence. You can do both.
But what do you think about all the personal service businesses like the beauty salons and barbers and manicure places and so on?
It's going to be a slow return to normal, but it will. You'll have people wearing their masks and all these type of things, but people still need to get a haircut. Unless you're me, then you don't have to worry about it. But people still need a haircut. People are still going to go to the salon, I think, and
Yeah.
I think people are just going to be more careful. They probably won't be able to seat you as closely together. They'll have to spread the booths apart, type of things like that. But restaurants are going to be, a major hurdle too, because some of these restaurants that were smaller, restaurants that had a lot of space, they'll be able to do it. These smaller restaurants, if they have to go to 50% seating, they're not going to. They might break even. From what I understand, most restaurants, if they're like a multi-chain restaurant, they can open up 50% of the restaurants. That gets them to break even to small profitability. They can have half the restaurants closed and still be, break even or profitable. But a small guy, the guy downtown Zionsville or wherever, they're not going to survive on that. So they're really going to have to get innovative, and prices are probably going to have to go up.
I don't understand how the enforcement of something like that as a concept works. So what do? I've got a 60-seater. I do a 30-click count, or what? I don't understand how that works. I was trying to think of the practicality of it, or like a McDonald's. Unless you got somebody's counting them, how you just going to visualize it, or what?
Well, I think what they're going to do is they're going to space their tables. They're going to get rid of tables temporarily, or at least section them off or something. So they're going to section them off or get rid of them, and then once those tables are full, they won't be able to let anybody else in the door.
I've had a conversation with a few people. They were already been asking about how many people per square foot can you actually safely put, and so it may turn out to be a per person per square foot value that may come out.
Sure, that would probably make the most sense.
I think the hardest part will be in the bar areas because bars are based on meeting people and getting together, and having you're going to probably eliminate almost all the space at the bar itself.
Yeah, I mean, people won't be able to congregate, and like I said, Cobblestone here in Zionsville, he's talking about putting up plexiglass between the patrons and the bartenders, so people can be seated at the bar, but they won't have direct contact with the.
Well, that's not the problem. It's the clients having contact with strangers next to them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They'll have to separate those out, and people won't be able to congregate like they do now, at least temporarily. I mean, all this will change. I mean, once we get some therapies and really getting a therapy first, because we know vaccines take a while. Take a turn for the worse. I can get something that reverses that, which, there was a nice report yesterday from Gilead Sciences that they actually might have something that can, ease the symptoms or even reverse them a little bit. So
Yeah, yeah, but you know what, Alex? They're also telling us to be very, very cautious of that. What he's actually saying is this is giving us hope because it has worked on some people. So
right, and that's the same though with about any therapy.
right,
Different people respond to therapies differently, but it is a positive step. And there's and Regeneron's just one of hundreds being tested across the world right now.
Right.
So there's a lot going on, and there's somebody saying that they'll have a vaccine by the end of the year even. Now,
right.
It'd be a world record, by the way, because normally it takes like 15 years.
Right.
So,
Tony,
Alex,
Tony, for
hey,
your just that you're giving a heads up, Tony. They have come out with a new study on what the effects of children and this COVID, and what they're finding is that they're having early heart attacks. They're 13 and 14 years old and they're having heart attacks. So I thought you'd want to look into that.
heart attacks from COVID?
Yeah, it throws blood clots, and even in the young, it throws blood clots. So what's happening is that they end up with heart attacks.
Yeah, but heart attacks that are not deadly, because I mean the mortality rate for under 30 is next to nothing.
Not necessarily deadly, but debilitating. Okay. Not deadly, but debilitating.
Yeah. I was going to say, because the mortality rate for under 30 is next to nothing.
Yeah, right. But it's debilitating. It's leaving people with outcomes that are going to be life-changing.
Disabilities.
No, yeah, and what's happening is 5% of the population in that area have this, and out of that, there's a percentage of those that are having heart attacks, and those heart attacks are disabling. They leave them with problems for the rest of their life.
How you doing, John?
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
Morning, John.
I enjoyed hearing about inventory conversations. Inventory is still a problem with real estate.
That's what I hear. That's a big problem.
I'll tell you, well, we figured out how not to sell something twice last week. There's multiple offers, right? We just take it to the bid, and there's one buyer.
Yeah,
my
my understanding is that houses are back in that phase again where, because like in our neighborhood, people are posting stuff on Facebook that if you're wanting to sell your house, just post it, because they're just selling. They're not even going on the market now. And I see very few signs, but we have had some sales in our neighborhood. So that's a sign of very little inventory.
Right.
Because people know friends that want to move in or whatever, and so they just give them the heads up that somebody's selling.
Interesting.
But that didn't cut you out, Luke, because you still need the agent to negotiate the deal, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what are you seeing, John?
So it's the same story, right? If it's priced right, in good condition, good location, it's going to sell fast. Some are still sitting. Some buyers and sellers are waiting until COVID is a little more stable, until the stock market's a little more stable. But like any other good or service, there's people who need to sell or need to buy. So those transactions are happening. It's real estate's happening. It's happening differently, and I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how all this plays out. Especially, I mean, even Marianne and I were speaking of what happens down the road with job losses and company closings and continued unpayment of mortgage. What happens to those people and those homes, right?
Yeah.
So.
Hey guys, we got about, I promised that we wouldn't go forever. We got about 5 minutes left or so. Anybody got anything else to add? Hey, first off, hey, Alex, appreciate it. Love the way it was presented.
Yeah,
I've done a few of these things now, and yours was one of the better ones for me to follow. It was pretty clear. It was colorful. That might just be a hint for some of you guys who are doing some of these things. For the people who are not you, it's just a lot easier if we can see that stuff and it's delineated by color, etc. So that's just kind of a hint there. I know
Good.
earlier, Rhoda, you had something to say that you wanted to ask John. We might as well get that done. Go ahead.
Who's that?
Rhoda had something she wanted to ask John.
Oh.
John, I wanted you to call me because I have something I want to ask you.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I give. Okay. Okay.
Hey, John has
Hey.
been busy. He's been dropping off seeds for us to plant.
Oh, so sweet. Hey, we need a speaker for next week if we can get one. If not, we'll figure something out. Might even be a technology training class, don't know. But if I could get a volunteer, just get a hold of me.
Keith,
What I'd like to do is a
I
health
think that
care.
Jerry Cowan could speak. Remember that he was going to speak before we had to stop meeting.
Only if we can get a hold of him, Rhoda, and he agrees to it.
I can get hold of him. John, you also have his information, right?
Right. I
Yeah,
do.
I'll go ahead and try to reach him and get him to call John.
Okay.
John, you
So-
can.
Are we sticking with an 8:30 time?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
it would be 8:30 no matter what. And then the other thing is we need a backup plan. And what I was hoping for, if we couldn't do, is get a perspective from health, somebody in health. Mary Ann talked to us about dead people dying in nursing homes. Hey, it's life, something like that. But if we can't get your speaker, then somebody else, and then also do some kind of technology play. The worst comes to worst. So just keep that in mind. Try to get a hold of me.
But I'm on a call, so I need to have you call back in about 15
Okay, hadn't planned for an instant like that, but that kind of works. So if we
Keith,
could do something like that, that would be really, really nice. Number two, appreciate all you guys taking time out of your 8:30 a.m. day. So I told Clara that we get her off because she does have another meeting. But it was great.
She's already
to see
gone.
you guys, and stay healthy.
Here.
Alex, appreciate it. Any last minute before we log off?
Yeah, I see you came back from Florida early.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. You can do a green screen. So when Alex and I tested it, I had a background where I was in Florida on the beach. So that I gave that up, Alex, because
I see that.
what is he thinking about? So no problem. So
So-
with that being,
I was saying,
that being said, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm headed down to Chattanooga tomorrow. I'm going to be down there for a few days trying to get my daughter through her physical and place to stay and stuff like that because she's moving down there to take a position at Erlanger Hospital. And I'll give you some feedback on what happens and what I see. I've already gotten some stuff from the hotel saying you can't stay at the hotel if you're not following the government travel policies, and we have the right to throw you out and not even give you a room.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's pretty
I
deep.
thought was pretty interesting.
Okay, that'll be an
Well,
interesting.
and one of the things that you should know, Tony, is that a friend of mine is traveling back from Florida, and she was told that they will not rent a room for 72 hours after the last person was in it.
Interesting.
Oh, wow. Well, that'll tighten up inventory. Hey, the other thing that if we can't come up with someone next week, I want to spend a little bit of time talking about the logic of unemployment. I cannot for the world of me understand why someone who can get paid $600 extra would go to work at McDonald's for $150 a week. Maybe that logic is not escaping the rest of you, but it's escaping my logic. And to me, it would seem it's going to put pressure on getting employees to come back. But we'll talk about that next week because Clara, you got to get out of here. The rest of us, I got to take my nap This is early for me. So I got to go get my nap, people. You guys don't know what I'm dressed as at the bottom. So
They said at all the stores, people are buying more tops than bottoms.
Keith, one of the
Yes,
things
ma'am.
we run into is that a lot of the places that were doing like customized shelving and things like that, they were out of Michigan, all the construction, all the work on those, and all of those particular factories have been shut down. So everything we have is on total hold until probably August 1st.
All right. Well, we'll talk about all that stuff next week. We got to get Claire out of here. I got to get my nap. I don't know what John's doing. He's just holding his head.
I have 5 webinars today, so I'll be on.
All right. I will see you guys next week. And this
John,
recording.
I'm gonna suggest, would you wear a brighter shirt? You know, it'll kind of make you stand. No, I'm just joking.
Hey,
if you have 5 webinars, you got to change your shirt in between.
Yeah.
Not a problem. Hey, this will be it's recorded, and I'll make it available at a website. All right, you guys. Hey, thanks, Alex. We'll see you guys
Thank
next
you.
week.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.